carcass took many forms which became whispered in our society, such as writing the words Allah is greater on the wall, pronouncing the words Allah is greater only once over all the animals which are prepared for slaughtering, or using a tape recorder which repeats the name of Allah and others. So what's the right and truth in that?
Animals have hearing and feelings and sensations. They also have special languages amongst each other. They live in worlds with their own rules. In the Al-An'am Surah, God says, "All the beasts that roam the earth and all the birds that take flight are communities like your own." So if we substituted the human spirit for a tape recorder, which repeats the name of Allah during the slaughtering, these animals will know it's a machine, and a machine does not transmit the feelings, sensations, or status of man. Yet when a man who has spirit and a soul pronounces the name of Allah while performing the slaughter, his spirit will line up with that of the carcass. God says, "Pronounce over them the name of Allah to be in line." Thus your spirit will line up with that of this carcass and feel its bliss when it flies happily up to its provider, without feelings of pain or the torture of death. So it is, if we put on the walls signs on which it's written, "In the name of God, Allah is greater." Does the carcass hear anything that makes it remember its pledge to Allah, so that its spirit can enter His presence? And if we pronounce the name of Allah only once over the animals to be slaughtered, it will be of little use, since only the first animal who hears the words Allah is greater will get the benefit. So when its spirit reaches the other world, it will be able to understand any language, and therefore it may enter into God's presence, forgetting the pain of slaughter. The other carcasses, however, will be deprived of this. The Qur'anic verses specify that these words should be pronounced over each carcass. God said, "Do not eat of that over which the name of Allah was not pronounced." In Arabic, the word "which" indicates the singular. So Almighty God specifies over it and does not say over them. This has been confirmed by the research team and the studies performed by the physician concerning this case. Pronouncing the word "in the name of God, Allah is greater" over a carcass when slaughtering it.
I would like to concentrate on the case of pronouncing the words, "In the name of God, Allah is greater." What was proved by tangible and irrefutable evidence is that these words should be pronounced over each carcass and not over the flock as a whole, nor over just the first carcass or the last one, nor only writing it in the slaughterhouse. The slaughterer should pronounce the words loudly with his own tongue.
The ways are many, whereas the aim is one: to kill the animal in order to obtain the benefits of its meat as food. Some kill it by shooting it in the head, others by electrocuting it, and others by strangling it in order to keep the blood it contains. Yet all these ways share in making the blood remain inside the animal's body, which provides a rich pasture for germs to grow. It was mentioned that the difference between the Islamic method of slaughtering and that which is not Islamic, i.e. Western, is that the blood remains inside the carcass. When electrocuting the animal and striking the back part of the cow's head so as to destroy the nerve, kinetic and sensory centers of the brain, the carcass will not be able to release the blood inside it, as it becomes motionless after beating and suspension. Also, the blood will congest inside the body, and this appears clear when skinning the animal, as we can see the surface blood vessels and veins. So when slaughtering the animal or taking part of its meat, the blood will jet out like a spring, because it does not come out of the carcass when it becomes motionless. The Islamic method, in contrast, keeps causing the body to contract until the last drop of blood is released. Therefore, when the Western carcass is prepared, they never use it for cooking until storing it in a refrigerator for 24 hours, in order to kill any germs it contains and prevent any increase in bacteria. Cooking is not permitted for 24 hours. Only after this period can the consumer use the carcass. The meat also looks congested and dark in color when being stored, whilst the Islamic carcass is rose-colored. That is what the Islamic method results in.
Concerning the use of electricity, two ways were performed. One using a current of low power, about 75 volts, and another using about 250 volts. This way results in some difficulties for the animal. For example, sometimes the animal dies when it's electrocuted, and sometimes bleeding occurs in the brain, bowels, or muscles. This bleeding has a negative effect on the quality of the meat, as it makes it lose its ability to be stored, and consequently decays in a short time. As for the third way, using a gun, this has two dangers. The first is for the workers, and the other is to the brain, which is damaged. No use can be got from this method, as bleeding may occur in the brain and tissue surrounding it. Thus, when comparing Islamic slaughter with other methods such as the gun, electrocution, or gas, we find that the Islamic way enables greater bleeding, more movement of the animal, and consequently the motion of the front and back legs when undergoing slaughter causes the animal to bleed more and release more blood. The carcass will be in better condition when compared with those prepared in other ways concerning the bleeding, and it will be healthier to eat as a result.
During one of the visits which the medical research team made to one of the bird slaughterhouses, they were surprised to come across a grisly sight. They found workers not pronouncing the name of Allah when performing the slaughter. Moreover, they saw the birds being heaped into barrels over each other, which caused some to die by strangulation before the actual slaughtering. Other workers killed the animals with the legs tied, causing their movement to be completely blocked, and consequently, they were unable to release the blood inside their bodies. When we visited the slaughterhouses of the large animals and the birds, we noticed that many of the workers were not pronouncing the name of Allah when killing the animals. Besides, the slaughter was performed after binding the animals, restricting its movement. I also mention a further point that I saw in the slaughterhouses of the birds, especially the smaller ones, where the worker kills the animal, then directly places it in a barrel. He piles up the animals on top of each other before they are completely dead. This act causes a great deal of blood to remain inside the bodies. Therefore, wishing to get healthy meat products, we advise these workers to perform the slaughter in the regular Islamic way, and not to pile the birds on top of each other, and to pronounce the name of Allah at the moment of slaughtering, relying on the results discovered by the group of esteemed researchers in our country. The noblest of the creatures says, "If you slaughter, slaughter well. The one of you should sharpen his knife and relax his carcass. When slaughtering an animal and pronouncing the name of Allah over it, the creature will get excited. The excitement is reflected in the movement of the body, which releases all the blood, and thereby it becomes pure and clean. Here the animal feels peaceful as the pain of death turns into pleasure. It does not feel pain. On the contrary, it feels delight out of meeting Him. Praise be to His beauty. By God, this is the most sublime meaning of being kind with animals. But when we prevent it from moving freely after slaughter, some of its blood will remain therein, so that we consumers will be affected by disease. God says in the Al-Hajj Surah, "And when their sides have become motionless, eat of their flesh." Truthful are the words of the great God.
وأنعام لا يذكرون اسم الله عليها
And there are cattle over which they do not pronounce the name of Allah, thus inventing a lie about Him. They will be punished for these lies.
سيجزيهم بما كانوا يفترون.
Recently, the world was facing one of its most serious moments. Large numbers of cows were affected by mad cow disease. These subjects covered the entire world, and the news was filled with such stories day and night. It was followed by the foot and mouth epidemic, then chicken plague.
During these successive epidemics, and when the experts of this age were lost, and worry was about to kill the breeders of cattle and fowl who were wringing their hands in grief, the merciful God made His first call and showed His real existence. Therefore Muhammad Amin Sheikho of Damascus raised his voice. This call then became international, the call of an enlightened man who granted cattle and fowl words which were light on the tongue and connected to paradise. It overwhelms the cattle with permanent floods of light, making miracles happen.
Yes, God saved Syria from all plagues of its birds for the sake of the apparent truth. When the slaughterers applied this heavenly command, they became satisfied and they realized the truth, benefit, and wisdom of God.
The Almighty has told us the story of the ant with our master Suleiman. He says, an ant said, "Go into your dwellings, ants, lest Suleiman and his warriors should unwittingly crush you." How could it know that our master Suleiman was coming with a large army from some distance away? Was it by satellite or radio? How could it describe the mercy which settled in the hearts of the warriors and caused them never to crush an animal wittingly? They are believers. This compassion is to be found in the hearts of those who believe. In Britain, the pigeon stands on people's shoulders and heads and eats from their hands, because they are sure no one will hurt them. Also in Syria, the pigeon are not afraid of approaching humans, because the people here have a special leniency towards this species. In contrast, finches and other birds dare not approach, as they know people will harm them. This perception or characteristic enables the animals to realize that the man whom they have been created for, and whom they have sacrificed their bodies and spirits for, does not pronounce the name of Allah when slaughtering them. He leaves them to suffer intense pain and torment. Therefore, they will feel miserable and distressed and become spiritually unbalanced. This exposes them to attack from fatal disease, so that which is happening in a world of epidemics nowadays, such as mad cow disease, foot and mouth, chicken plague, and others, is evidence of this. Here in Syria, when the findings of our research appeared and became known, people began to pronounce the name of Allah over carcasses. At that time, chickens were being attacked by chicken plague. Suddenly, this disease disappeared, and no more was seen of it at all. We even tried to find a case to complete our study by pronouncing the words Allah is greater over it, but not such a case could be found. This is because the animals and birds knew that pronouncing the name of Allah had spread and prevailed. This reassured them and set their spirits at ease. Consequently, the defense systems became activated and could destroy the disease in Syria. Now nobody can deny the importance of pronouncing the name of Allah over carcasses, neither out of ignorance nor through a lack of sincerity. The matter became clear after performing the research undertaken by the Syrian team. He who falls victim to pain and agonizing disease has no excuse at all. Now nobody can deny the importance of pronouncing the name of Allah over carcass, neither out of ignorance nor through a lack of sincerity. The matter became clear after performing the research undertaken by the Syrian team. He who falls victim to pain and agonizing disease has no excuse at all.
In fact, after the brilliant results which appeared in the tissue, germ and blood analysis achieved in trustworthy and recognized laboratories, who dares to eat even one piece of meat over which the words in the name of God, Allah is greater, were not pronounced, or even feed it to his chicken. The meat over which these words were not said is full of blood and may cause a great many diseases. Also, it's full of germs and toxins which cause significant damage to man. Moreover, the quality of the meat is poor. According to this, we can say frankly that meat over which these words were not said is not good for human consumption.
If this matter did not have importance, the heavenly statutes would not insist with urgency on the necessity of this practice. So the research performed by the Syrian medical team in revealing the advantages of pronouncing the name of Allah over carcasses causes us to appeal to all people around the world to adhere to this godly command, whose benefits have been scientifically proven by the latest methods. They must do this to protect their health and to ensure their children enjoy good health, safe from disease and suffering. I will mention a summary about the life of the great scholar Muhammad Amin Sheikho, who spent his precious lifetime achieving great things with the virtue he planted in the hearts of many others, and with the knowledge of God, without which the heart cannot feel reassured. The books of this scholar have spread all over the world and are derived from the Holy Quran, which is full of light. He did not deviate a hair's breadth from the words of God. Glory and praise be to him.
The humane scholar Muhammad Amin Sheikho was born in 1890 in Damascus. His father was a merchant. Although orphaned, he was characterized by his patience through the difficulties of life and the trying circumstances that befell his small family. He was characterized by his patience due to his noble lineage going back to the progeny of the Prophet Muhammad. He was able to study in the Turkish Royal Academy, known as Amber, in Damascus.
He graduated as a security officer, and having attained authority over the police stations in Damascus and its suburbs, peace took hold over this area. Due to his bravery and fearlessness, he was known as Aslan, a Turkish word meaning lion. Moreover, criminals feared his courage and begged him for justice and mercy. His unswerving allegiance to justice was well known, and he was indispensable to the rebels as they fought for freedom during the reign of the Turkish state and following that, the French Mandate.
From this Royal Academy, my father, the scholar Muhammad Amin Sheikho, may God have mercy on him, graduated. I address my full thanks and gratitude to Professor Abdulkader Dirani, who undertook the faithful publication of all my father's books. I also thank the doctors for publishing this important research. I heard my father warning people time after time about neglecting to mention the words Allah is greater over a carcass. May God have compassion for him and provide him with the best reward for his acts.
And so he continued until independence was achieved. Then Muhammad Amin Sheikho turned to his scientific research in order to enlighten people's minds, put an end to their ignorance, which had placed a barrier between people and their provider. His lifetime was a demonstration of the great things he achieved. He was a lamp which lit the way for future generations, until he died on the 15th of August 1964. His holy body was buried in the cemetery of God's Prophet Dhul-Kifl in Salahiyah Street in Damascus.
Many books were dedicated to the great scholar, as well as much scientific research in all subjects, especially that which concerned the pronouncing of the name of Allah over animals to be slaughtered. Before this, Muhammad Amin Sheikho was able to bring further science to light through his book, The Marvelous Medicine. This is a great demonstration of the secret of pronouncing the name of Allah over animals to be slaughtered, brought to us by the great scholar Muhammad Amin Sheikho, the first man to care for men's health and the master of those who call for kindness towards animals. Nothing proves the truthfulness of the humanity of this great scholar more than the cupping, that medical operation which he brought to light when he revealed its strict rules, which helped me to get rid of a tumor that afflicted me. Now, I'm completely cured of this disease. Praise be to God by virtue of this discovery, which has raised our lovely home Syria to the top of the world.
At last, we wish to address a call to everyone, all meat institutions, and to cattle and bird breeders across the world, that we are completely ready to participate in applying the results of this research on all animals, so as to help the eradication of any disease, epidemic, or threat that attacks livestock. So, you who seek the truth, everything has a form and a reality. The form alone is not enough without the reality. The reality of pronouncing the name of the Creator over a creature to be slaughtered is undeniably good, whereas neglecting this practice is an evil. Let us turn again to the correct way and return to pronouncing the words Allah is greater over a carcass. This is better than continuing to do nothing. So when God commanded us to pronounce these words through His holy books, He granted us a loving recommendation for our care and protection, and our children's physical and spiritual health.